I have been watching C-SPAN, and they have these speeches that are given in the chamber, mainly in the House of Representatives, for 1 minute. They're talking mainly to their constituents, but they're also talking about Trump's big, ugly budget bill that came out of the Project 2025, written by the Heritage Foundation, a super extremely right organization that's being implemented by Trump. So just take a listen to some of these comments, mainly Democrats, yeah, they're all Democrats thinking about it, who are challenging this big, beautiful, ugly bill.
The supply chain, and she was begging for help with nowhere to go, was that Medicaid did not cover substance use disorder treatment. You actually had to go through this waiver process. And I ultimately was able, I watched my mom being churned in and out of the ER, being kept alive in the ICU in critical condition. In the state of Colorado and the federal government spent over $1 million in 1 year keeping her alive in the ER while denying her access to the care that she so desperately sought. And I was finally able to go through a very complicated court order process to get her the care covered that she needed. My mom now is about to celebrate 8 years in recovery. She works at one of the places that saved her life and gives back to the community. She is a taxpayer. She's an example of what's possible when we actually invest in people and give them the care that they need. And because of her story, we were able to implement this waiver to really increase our capacity as a state to address the opioid crisis. We know that more people have died than all world wars combined. And these are people that we didn't have to lose if we actually had the system to support them. By rolling back this language, you are decimating the substance use disorder treatment across the United States in 37 states, and many right now who are in process of applying for the waiver and looking to Colorado as an example. So this would mean less than hundreds of millions of dollars of treatment that we would be denied. We have, the first year alone, we treated 58,000 people with the care that they needed in Colorado. And this is 5 years with implementation. It's the reason why we now have a 35% reduction in overdose deaths in Colorado. It is overwhelmingly the reason. And I want to tell you why addressing the Medicaid barriers is so important. People who struggle with a substance use disorder, this brain disease, it increases the likelihood of a decrease in employment. And so 80 to 90% of people who are struggling with a substance use disorder qualify for Medicaid. So when you don't cover the treatment that they need, the health care that they need, and you also dismantle the healthcare system that they're relying on, the people that are the most vulnerable, you are disproportionately impacting this community. And so on a day when we are working on ensuring that some of the critical programs at the federal level are funded in this bill, that is an important piece of this, we also have to support the structure and the payment system that supports the people on the ground who are doing this work. It took us years to bring the study, bring the waiver, prove that this would be cost savings over time, and implement it. And with that, thank you. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman.
Madam Chair, I ask for a recorded vote.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentlewoman from Colorado will be postponed.
My amendment. 18, the substance use disorder prevention that promotes opioid recovery and treatment for patients and communities, otherwise known as the SUPPORT Act, was signed into law. In the years since, the bill has provided states and localities with the tools to combat the opioid crisis. The crisis, the scourge of this nation, that as of 2024 took the lives of nearly 80,000 Americans. That's nearly 240 Americans every day last year. Folks, that's equivalent to a jet airliner crashing every day. And if that were happening every day, it would make the headlines. People would be up in arms saying, what are we doing about air safety? Which we should be doing that, but we should also be addressing issues with the opioid crisis. While I'm encouraged to see that number beginning to recede, it's still way too high. The number drop in 2023 is a good direction, but there's still lots of work to be done. That's why today I rise in support of an amendment to H.R. 2483, the SUPPORT Act. This amendment would require the Department of Health and Human Services to convene a public hearing to improve awareness of, access to, and information related to funding opportunities related to mental health and SUD programs within SAMHSA, S-A-M-H-S-A. This would be a review, not only of current funding activities, but future funding activities. These activities would increase much needed awareness of important tools within states and localities. Many times there are tools there that people are not aware of or local governments aren't aware of. This is going to expand that and make sure that everybody's aware of the full scope of tools that are available to address the scourge of this fentanyl crisis. By closing this knowledge gap, we're going to help patients, providers, and families with key access. And again, it's about getting treatment for this addiction. This is a very debilitating addiction. It is a biochemical addiction. It is something that takes a lot of effort in order to separate people from that addiction. And this effort saves lives. It makes a difference in families. The families that have been victimized by this addiction crisis will tell you how debilitating it is, not just to their loved ones, but also to families. I mean, this crushes families and the things that they have to endure, and the folks that have this biochemical addiction to opioids. Madam Speaker, in closing, I urge support of this important amendment as well as the underlying bill. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Now, I want to make a point here. Representative Skog, he's a lawyer, pushed through a $300 mandatory minimum for drugs, marijuana. So this particular representative in Congress, a Republican, that says, hey, why not help? And he's talking about an amendment to the big, ugly bill.
I urge my colleagues to vote yes on my amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Virginia. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.
Oh, good.
President, no doubt about it, this is days historic in many ways.
The proceedings of the United States Senate are being broadcast to the nation on television for the first time.
This week, we mark the 39th anniversary of the U.S. Senate's first live television broadcast on C-SPAN 2. Join us as senators take to the floor to reflect on this landmark moment in American democracy.
Thanks to C-SPAN 2, this public service allows our constituents to see the swearing in of newly elected members, watching all-night sessions during voteramas, and tune in to history being made.
That's why on its 39th birthday, Senator Grassley and I wanted to highlight how important it is for all television providers, including major streaming services like YouTube TV, owned by Google, and Hulu Plus Live TV, owned by Disney, to provide the American public with C-SPAN and the opportunity to see their government work on the Senate floor.
C-SPAN does not receive 1 penny of taxpayer dollars. It's funded primarily from satellite and cable providers.
We're at a different stage in our history, and a lot of people are seeing their news this way, so we need to expand it and make sure we're on all of those platforms, as well as the ones we already are on. So thank you again to Senator Grassley for working with me to highlight C-SPAN's critical role. And thanks to everyone who has had a hand in C-SPAN's success. Happy birthday.
C-SPAN 2, 39 years of bringing the U.S. Senate live into homes across the country, thanks to the support of our cable partners. Together, we bring you democracy unfiltered.
Dish 210.
I also condemn the horrific terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado. About a dozen people were burned, some critically, because of a terrorist who threw essentially Molotov cocktails at a group of Jewish Americans. And let me just be clear. Hamas is a genocidal, homicidal, extreme terrorist organization who attacked Israel, not the other way around. And now Jewish Americans in America are fearing for their safety because of folks who are committing brazen acts of anti-Semitism. We need to call it out when we see it. And I urge that the person be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law who committed this heinous terrorist attack. I'd like to now talk about Senator Joni Ernst's statement that we all are going to die. She is correct that we all are going to die, but it shouldn't be at the hands of Republican legislation. And the Republicans' big, ugly bill is going to cause unnecessary death. So then Senator Ernst doubled down on her statement and did a video of herself walking through a cemetery, again, talking about what she said. And then she ended by citing Jesus. So I'm just a simple Catholic. But let me just tell you, I actually read the Gospels, and Jesus goes around healing people. That's what he does, right? He heals a woman who was blind. He heals a person who had leprosy. He heals a person who was paralyzed. 41 acts of healing in the Gospels. That's what Jesus did in terms of acts. So it's exactly the opposite of what Senator Ernst is saying. And call me old-fashioned, but I think the goal of government is not to hasten the deaths of Americans. It is to make the lives of Americans better. And clearly this big, ugly bill is not going to do that. And now we see some Republican members who are opposed to it because guess what? They didn't read the bill. So Marjorie Taylor Greene yesterday opposes a provision which is a 10-year moratorium on states regulating artificial intelligence. So I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene once every 100 years. This is that time. I agree that this 10-year provision is extreme. It's going to cause unnecessary harm. And look, I think the federal government is fine doing preemption when we preempt with something. You can't just preempt with nothing. And this is a bad provision, and I hope the Senate will take out this 10-year moratorium.
Everybody, and let me begin with this first. My thoughts and prayers go out and are with the victims of the anti-Semitic terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado recently. The Jewish people should absolutely not have to face this violence anywhere, let alone in the United States of America. Recently, 2 young people were shot and killed in our nation's capital in an anti-Semitic attack. And if that wasn't enough, Holocaust survivors are now actually being burned alive. This is the outcome of everyone not condemning anti-Semitism everywhere, especially on our college campuses, which have become a breeding ground for vile hatred. And failing to condemn these acts are the same as enabling these acts. And the lack of consequences for those failing to condemn these acts has resulted in Jewish people dying. Let me be clear on that. Things have got to change. Otherwise, I hate to say it, buckle up, because that's not the last attack that we've seen. And we haven't seen the last attack on college campuses, synagogues, or communities coming to a place in your community. This type of anti-Semitic behavior needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be dealt with swiftly. And everyone, I'm going to repeat, needs to condemn this. And what makes the attack in Boulder even worse is that it was committed by an illegal alien Wow, that's a shocker. Who could have predicted that? Enforcement officers the resource they need to detain and deport violent, illegal criminals. Given this
How about the
shocking
Home Depot
news,
folks in Los Angeles?
Democrats spent Memorial Day in El Salvador honoring and remembering MS-13 instead of here in our country honoring Americans who actually paid the ultimate sacrifice. I mean, honestly, what's next? Is a Democrat gonna fly to Boulder to visit?
Of the One Big Beautiful Bill. House Republicans are committed to delivering the golden age President Trump promised the American people when he ran for office. The reality is, because of the great investigatory work of DOJ and the Trump administration has made public, and our Agriculture Committee work in the House, there's actually far more fraud, waste, and abuse present in federal spending than anyone imagined. What has been uncovered is appalling. The One Big Beautiful Bill controls the growth of federal spending on SNAP and restores integrity to the bipartisan work requirements passed decades ago, protecting the SNAP program for those who truly need it. For the first time ever, the bill holds states accountable for inaccurate benefit payments. I believe our work marks a new era of efficiency and fairness by encouraging modest state contributions.
That's enough.
I'm proud to say
4 days before Memorial Day, our self-imposed deadline, and that's a big achievement. I'll address it.
Yeah, you kept them up
Obviously,
23
our
hours
attention has been
straight,
diverted
starting at
and,
1 o'clock in the
Our
morning.
mood very much
Didn't
dampened
you
by
there,
these atrocities
Johnson?
that continue against our Jewish friends and neighbors.
Introduced
It's really
the bill
something
in the
that's
middle of the
discussed
night
already this
there,
morning, but
Johnson.
This attack over the weekend was actually the second time in 3 weeks that our country's witnessed these horrific acts of anti-Semitic terror here on American soil. And it was just, of course, a few miles down the road, 2 Israeli embassy staffers, a young couple who had planned to wed soon, were senselessly gunned down on the street. And the killer said, when they asked him what his motivation was, he said, quote, he did it for Palestine. This weekend, an Egyptian terrorist in Boulder, Colorado, Mohammed Soleiman, lit at least 12 Jewish people on fire. They were at a parade.
It was obviously wrong when Hamas killed those 1,200 people on October 7th. But what they're doing, what Israel is doing to Gaza, they're destroying that whole city of 2 million people. 50,000, 100,000 children, men and women, innocents are being murdered by bombs. It's a terrible thing, obviously, but you know, what you try to do is in any military confrontation or anything like that, you try to have an equal response. Israel is not equally responding, and it's wrong.
An event there. He told police he wanted to kill every single one of them. And you know what he said when he yelled out during the attack? He said, free Palestine. We also can't forget that in April, the terrorists burned the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, attempting to kill Jewish Governor Josh Shapiro and his sleeping family inside. The search warrants found that the terrorists targeted Shapiro because of, quote, perceived injustices against Palestine. There's a theme here. Why would terrorists target a young innocent? Have a moral obligation to call this out. According to DHS, Solomon, just know that this is who they're defending. The city, $1 billion to hire 200 immigration judges and to expand immigration courtroom space. There's $1 billion in there to hire 2,700 new ICE Office of Principal Legal Advisor attorneys to expedite removal proceedings, and $14 billion for air and ground transportation sufficient to support at least 1 million removals per year. We need to go find the other Solomons and get them out of America. Don't for any media organization to be singled out to receive federal funds. We're in a different era now, especially those that appear to have so little regard for the truth. On the foreign aid front, we're cutting things like $6 million for net zero cities in Mexico, $4 million for sedentary migrants in Colombia, whatever that means, $3 million for Iraqi Sesame Street, $2 million goes on the floor this week The list real quick, Representative Beth Van Dyne's American Entrepreneurs Act ensures taxpayer-funded loans go only to Americans, codifying President Trump's executive order to end taxpayer-subsidized open borders. Representative Brad Finstead's Save SBA from Sanctuary Cities Act moves SBA offices out of sanctuary cities and into non-sanctuary municipalities, and will codify President Trump's executive order to protect American communities from criminal aliens. And the last one this week is Representative Rob Bresnahan's CSIP.
Greenlighting this money, and 2-3 months later, then you want to take back that money. That seems inconsistent.
Well, if you're talking about, for example, this USAID money and this kind of stuff,
That was approved in the CR back then.
Yeah, it was. And here's the point. It's a critical point. When I met with Elon in his office back in early February, he had just gotten into it. They were just uncovering the USAID abuses. And they went after USAID first for their review, their audits, because USAID screamed the loudest, opposed the loudest of this accountability measure. And so they effectively put, the scrutiny target on their own backs. And Elon and I were in his office late one night, we were talking about this, and he said he had finished USAID, they were just starting on Social Security. And he was finding out these abuses, and we were talking, he and I were getting increasingly excited together about this new era of accountability, and it occurred to me we were excited for different reasons. And I said,
where's
you're excited
because
you're looking at this as a data analyst and a scientist, and I'm looking at it as a constitutional law attorney and a legislator and his novice historian, right? But it's like, this is about more than saving money. This is about restoring the framers' original vision for the Constitution. The framers of our
we're going back to that now,
our matchless Constitution. What they envisioned, and in fact what they designed, was a small, lean federal government. They wanted most of the power reserved for the states, for the people at a local level, closer to the people, because there's more accountability and efficiency. And so the DOGE effort overall, what it does is it restores the framers' vision, because what Elon was able to do, what he's been able to do, what DOGE is able to do, its lasting legacy, is they cracked the code. They got inside the belly of the beast. He was inside the bureaucracy, the agencies, with his algorithms, crawling, finding all the irregularities and the abuses. He did something we had never been able to do before, Chad. Not as long as I've been in Congress, in 9 years, and not for decades.
I wish you'd leave.
I told Elon that night, I said, you're doing something that we were not capable of doing. We tried to perform our oversight responsibility, but Congress has not been able to get the things that to uncover the abuses that you found. We didn't know we were funding transgender operas in Peru, obviously, right? Like, we would have stopped that. But our committees did their diligent work. They've done oversight. They've had hearings with the heads of the bureaucratic agencies, the executive agencies.
I'm glad I don't have a brick.
Have been issued. But never did they turn over this level of data and this level of detail. It was unknowable to us until now. And so, yes, we can't act fast enough on these rescissions to claw back these abuses, because it happened without Congress's knowledge. And that's a really important thing.
Let's continue on here.
Full disclosure, Elon and I had a great conversation, about a half-hour-long talk on Monday this week. Monday morning, and we talked about the big beautiful bill, because I think he was trying to make a joke a couple of days earlier. It can't be big and beautiful, and I started the conversation. Oh yes, it can, my friend. It's very beautiful. So we talked about all the record level of savings. My friends, no government in the history of mankind has ever got $1.6 trillion in a
legislation that it would extend opioid addiction treatment and prevention programs that were first established under a 2018 law signed by President Trump during his first term in office. This amendment from Colorado Democratic Representative Brittany Pedersen would codify Biden-era guidance to ensure that budget neutrality requirements for waivers take into account downstream savings related to the bill. Away from the House floor, Senate Republicans have been meeting about plans for the next steps on the GOP tax and spending cuts bill. Also, Senate Finance Committee Republicans are meeting with President Trump to discuss his no tax on tips or overtime pay initiatives that are included in the bill. While the House is voting, we will bring you testimony from acting FAA Administrator Chris Rocheleau on the agency's 2026 budget request.
Getting down to the wire on that, you'll notice that this is the bill from that lady from Colorado, and you're noticing here that it's all because it's coming from a Democrat. Look at that. There's 2 Republicans and 82 nays on the Republicans. Democrats 83 think it's a good idea, when she gave that passionate story here at the beginning of this video. Looks like it's 87 to 86. Let's see what happens here. '87, or no, it's 60, whatever. Yeah. Okay, I can't read it as well. It's not very good. 90, 91, 91 to 90. Oh, 92 to 91. Look at that. One Republican came over to push it over. But look at let's see, 94 Democrats, so it's increasing. It's not over yet, even though the time says it's expired. Let's see what happens here. Looks like every Republican was against her bill, but then they passed the Republicans from Virginia about drugs and treatment. Uh-oh. Oh, looks like it failed. Oh yeah, they're all, even the Republican that was initially there, he changed his vote. That's what they do in Idaho too. Okay, so there's 101 Democrats, 104. Okay, they just don't have the votes. Well, we got 256. It's all party line. And that's why things, and this has to do with that passionate response. And that's, here we go. 112, still ain't over. Republicans are voting against it. And see, this is an example, this is the trouble with, it's partisan. If a Republican has it, the Democrats will vote for it because they think it's a good idea. But because Trump controls the Republican Party, no go. Oops, no, wait, no, 122, 118. Still partisan because no Republican is voting for it. And the Democrats don't have enough votes to pass it. And see, that's the point, is that, this, a Republican came back. Okay, we're 129. He came back, okay. Or somebody came back, let's put it that way. 129 to 122. We'll see, 131 to 123. Oh, 2 Republicans came over. Now, initially, see, they had a voice vote, and the chairman said that it failed. And then the lady from Colorado requested a roll call. Well, here we go, 133 to 131. It was 4:56, let's see. Time remaining is none. And this amendment, of course, is to not take away treatment for people that are addicted to drugs. 134 Republicans are against, 135. Well, three Republicans came over, it looks like. So it's an interesting, here we go. Oh, 2 Democrats.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Yeah, 2 Democrats went over to the Republican side here. 140, 138. Okay, 142 to 138. And this is to help people that are addicted to drugs, giving them funds through the Medicaid program, as she expressed during her write-up. It's incredible. Look at that. 145 to 140. Let's see, what is 145 to 146 now? I wonder where those 3 Democrats are. 149 saying no. 145 Democrats. 151 Republicans. 146. See how it works? Now, who are those 3 Democrats that went over to the Republican side to kill this bill? Oh, looks like it's going to die. 158 on the Republican side, 147, 149, 159, 160. Answering machine will get that. 160, 135, 155, 162. Getting a bit of robocall here. 157, 165, 160, 165, 161 to 167. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to make another video, I think, of this, just to show you how it works, the division that's in this country. And here again, they passed they represented the Republicans. 169, 170. Okay, Republican went over. I can't tell it. 172, 173 to 171. And here again, this is to help people that are addicted to drugs. 173 to 174. Is that it? Well, 175, nay. $177, nay. 176, 4, 178. Look at that. See, that one Republican, he came over because, probably got a call from somebody to tell him to vote for it, maybe in Colorado. 178 to 179. Okay, 180, negative. 181. Isn't this exciting? 181 to 181. Uh-oh, 182. 3. 183 to 181. Okay, 184 to 184, up. 185, a negative. This is exciting. $187. See, this is the thing, it's obviously party line. I mean, we're talking about funds to help people with addiction. Idaho, they just want to throw them in jail. $300 minimum, law enforcement, throw them in jail, build more prisons. Let's see, 196 to 191. Hey, getting up there. See if that amendment gets in that big, ugly bill. It's going to cut all the funding to help people with addiction. I guess they're getting more money to build prisons like in Idaho. $196, 191. Is it 456? Well, 200 to 191. All right. Well, there's more Democrats still. All Republicans haven't voted yet. 2 came over. See, this is not the same as the Republican when it came to opioids. 201, 197. This is exciting. I'm not voting on the right-hand side. You can see that 25 Republicans haven't voted and 15 Democrats haven't voted yet. So there's 35 votes still out there. Let's see where they go. There's more Republicans. There's 20, yep. See, the maximum that the Democrats can get is 230. Whereas is it 230? 12, no, it's hard to read it, 225? Or 220, yeah, 205, 225. So 18. Yeah, I think we'll see what happens. Yep, there's 9 Democrats left. Now at 206 is 207 or 208. It's hard to read it. 210. Well, there's still 12 Republicans out there. Let's see if they what they do. You know, you can imagine half of the representatives in the country don't want to help people who are addicted, and we've got a serious addiction problem with fentanyl, and just to get to help, care, mental health, and they just want to cut the funding of that. What kind of people are those people that are voting against this? But they passed the congressman from Virginia, 210, 211 tied, okay. And see, the Republicans still got 10 more votes, and the Democrats only got 6. And how it works is those two guys probably that voted those Republicans for the Democrats, you know, maybe have some opposition next election. That's the way it works. But I just cannot imagine that they would do this. Okay, there's 14 left. 213 to 212. 9 Republicans to go. For Democrats. Come on, boys. Quit your chat and hit the button. They're all mingling around. These are the amendments to the big ugly bill by it's by a Democrat, and by other, you know, the other guy was a Republican. He got his through. Let's see if she does. And he got it through on a voice vote. And the congressman from the gal from Colorado was told that her motion failed, and she requested a full count. So it's tied at 213. Passing this thing will be maintain the help that people need to get rid of their addictions. Treatment.
There being no further amendment under the rule, the committee rises.
It's not adopted. It is not adopted. She lost. What does that tell you about these people?
Well, I would start by saying the amendment is not adopted.
The amendment is not adopted.